Hello, my name is Navigator, and in today's video we're going to be interviewing another Brotherhood of Steel roleplay group. This time I am joined by Derpy Lombax and, as you guys know him, Wastelord, and they're going to be talking about their group, Brotherhood of Steel Genesis. So I know I just said it, but Derpy, what is the name of your group, and thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes, the name of my group is Genesis. I try my best to call it just Genesis. The Brotherhood of Steel part is more assumed than anything.
Fair enough. Where does the name kind of Genesis originate from? Is there any certain idea that came from?
Um, well, disregarding just the lore of it, there's a lot of people within the group that have been in other groups that have their own, personal qualms and drama with previous groups, and it was more of a new beginning for them to start over, a second chance, if you will, hence the name Genesis.
Fair enough. That's a pretty good reason, huh? That actually
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. I guess the next question I could ask then is, when was this group formed?
that's that's a very difficult question because the integrity that is the group, and the common denominator within the group is me. I've been here the longest, but
Hmm.
the leadership has changed over the last 4.5 years. Um, but I've always been up second in command or the leader, right?
Hmm.
So it started in the beta, and I just recently became the elder. Um, well, it's been what, 3 months waste, I think, a little
Yeah,
bit
but
longer than
maybe,
that.
yeah, longer, I'd say.
Yeah, it's I've been doing this for a long time though.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, that actually kind of leads me into my next question. Why did you start the group in the first place? And I guess you said that this was kind of like an after effect of like another group, something like that. So I guess the real question is, why are you interested in Brotherhood groups like this?
So, when I've always been interested in RPGs, right?
Mm.
And I I learned from playing other RPGs that if you don't start early, you are never going to be the best or you're never going to be at the top, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So it and especially how this game was in the beta, we had no idea what to do, right? So you had a band together.
Mm.
And from there, we just created the Brotherhood of Steel because obviously there wasn't NPCs. So we became the Brotherhood of Steel. And when there became that giant deficit, because those that don't know, the beta testers, all of their data rolled over into the live servers of the game. So I was like level 70 something when the game started, and people thought I was cheating. So I had a huge advantage over everyone that was coming into the game, right?
That's super cool.
So um I realized that I didn't want to be that guy that's like, well, I'm better than you, this, that, and all the other. I wanted to share my knowledge. So
Mm.
my group started to grow, and I decided that I want to help these people and I want to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Word.
Um,
That's a pretty
yeah,
valiant, like kind of like goal. That's pretty sweet, man.
player helping.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good motivator for a lot of people. I mean, I hear from a lot of like veterans that, geez, someone is spamming my vendor right now. But I hear from a lot of veteran players that one of the things that they do, kind of keep them going as well, is helping new players. One of the
Hmm.
other questions that I could ask you, and I mean, I guess now we're talking about the group as a whole. How many
Hmm.
members do you have? Was there like a peak membership that you had, something like that? Is there any insight you could give into that?
At one point, because I had it on multiple different platforms, I had an Instagram, I had a Discord, I had Facebook. I wouldn't count the members in Instagram because that's just for the lore,
You
the
know,
RP, the storytelling,
Derpy,
right?
I don't mean
But
to interrupt you real quick.
mhm.
Somebody is just spamming my vendor. I'm just gonna stand up here, and I'm almost at max cap, so this will probably be a good thing. And I'm gonna move my camp. Sorry about that. Okay, let's sit back down here. Continue though. Continue though.
No, you're fine. Um, but on Facebook. I had a group that a lot of people would join, and
Hmm.
that group had, I think, like 1,500 people at one point, and that was active. But I wasn't the elder at that point, and the elder just made a stupid decision and was like, "Get rid of it." And I was like, "Wow, okay." So that was peak membership was about 1,500 people. That was like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Right now, the current number I think is around 50 people. Um, but that's active. That's 50 active people.
That's
I
still
have a
impressive, though, man.
I have a little bit more than that, but I see all of them, and that's a lot to keep up with over a video game, even though it's
Hmm.
that 50 members. Oh, that's nothing. No, that can be a lot when they all come to you directly. So,
Well, dude, I mean, from my experience and in knowing you, and for you get people in the audience, this is not my first, encounter with Derpy. I've known him for quite a while. We've actually been trying to plan this interview for a while, but every time that I join the party, you're always like in command of what's going on
yeah.
in there, and on top of that, you always have like a lot of people in there as well. So
Yeah.
I find it very unique in that. I mean, and this is no offense to any of the other leaders of the groups that I've
Hmm.
met, but I mean, if you're saying that there's 50 members and you're keeping in touch with them regularly, like that's really impressive. Like that's
Hmm.
you're putting in work to make sure not only that you're getting your duties and your Brotherhood of Steel stuff accomplished, but also like being there for the people in your group. And I definitely appreciate that. I mean, I'm sure Waste
Hmm.
does. You guys are good
Yeah.
friends. So,
Yeah,
is there anything
definitely.
else you wanted to say on that though? I feel like I kind of stopped you short there.
Oh no, you're fine.
Yeah, I
No, I
mean,
think yeah, I think that question's wrapped up. Yeah.
fair enough. Well, the next question is going to be the big whopper. Do you have any lore or backstory to your group? Now, I mean, I know that you do, but I think
Yeah.
that you would probably be the best at telling it.
Um, there's a lot to it because everyone else that's in the group has a lore that
Hmm.
meets mine, right? So it splinters in some way and then it unifies. So
I see.
it isn't just the group, but everyone else has some way of meeting Genesis. Um, so for me, I already had a few people that were already like with me. And it's funny because our lore just so happens to coincide with a lot of the actual events that happened in the game with the players. Um, like for example, in the early days of the beta, um, caps were really scarce. People were still learning how to do things, and one of the first things I figured out how to do was to collect excess amounts of purified water. And that was like a currency at one point in the early days of the beta. Like people were really trading water like it was caps.
Oh, that was
And
currency when I was a low level.
yeah, so and then there obviously whenever you find something that can be seen as an opportunity, people are going to take advantage of it. And
Hmm.
obviously, that's where corruption comes from, whether that's from people griefing, people just murdering, or scamming you. And
Hmm.
the whole purified water thing was the start of scammers. Um, and from there, it just got worse. It's guns, armor, things like that, things that had value to them.
Legacy is
And
Fosh, not masks.
yeah, legacies, fashion, not masks. And that's one of the things that I was directly involved in was blowing up the purified water to where everyone had access to it on the Xbox. Um,
You're like James from Fallout 3, making water
yeah,
available to the capital wasteland.
right. But that quickly died. That was not a thing for very long
Hmm.
because eventually Bethesda made mistakes. People got access to the dev room. Weapons got out of it. Dupes started happening. So the purified water currency thing was not a very long-lived thing. It was a very short amount of time that was active. Um,
Still pretty
you know, f-
crazy though.
from there, the majority of the players stayed in the forest for a very long time. um, as much as there was, the queens and people nuking Cranberry Bog, there just was not nearly as many people doing it as there is now back then. So
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah.
yeah, because people are still learning all the exploits and things like that, right? So for us, we wanted to move. We in my group picked up from because we were in Flatwoods, the majority of the players were there. We picked up
Yeah,
from
the
Flatwoods
forest.
and we went into the mire over at Thunder Mountain. And that's where I got my camp. This was still during the beta. And I've had my camp there ever since. It's a legacy camp. Um,
I was gonna say
uh,
because I mean, you'll probably explain this better, but it's something where like you can combine your camp's workshop and the workshops, or sorry, your camp's like
yeah,
area and the workshops area.
it it's really weird. But if I was to go claim Thunder Mountain, it would sort of it wouldn't it would that what it's doing is merging, but it's not
Hmm.
directly merging as much as it's because it's merging, it's glitching, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
it will expand the size of the build area of my camp as a ghost. It's really weird. So like I can't build outside of that expansion, obviously, because when I come back in, it's going to recognize it as invalid. But what
Hmm.
it does is because the radius has expanded, my companion can walk over to Thunder Mountain and
Hmm.
can interact with whatever I've built there, or if it's getting attacked, they can go over and defend it. So
That's
that
super
is
cool.
one of the big reasons it's a legacy campus because when the Wastelanders update came in, they removed all of the camps that were built near workshops, and
Hmm.
mine was safe for whatever reason. Um,
That's pretty crazy though.
yeah. So,
That's
and I've
awesome.
had it since the beta.
Word. Well, the next question I can ask you, probably a little bit easier. And honestly, it looks like you guys are already kind of answering the question. But do you guys have like specific uniforms? And this question also coincides with another one being, like, do you guys have ranks? Do you have uniforms for specific ranks? Is it kind of like a free choice thing? Do you have any explanation of that at all?
I have a very broad spectrum of uniforms. My big thing at the end of the day is if we're walking together, if we're standing together and a passerby sees us, they should be able to go,
Hmm.
excuse me, that is the Brotherhood of Steel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that,
Um,
and that makes
it's
sense.
it's one of those things like sometimes, obviously we mess around and there'll be someone wearing a teddy bear helmet, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, that's
Yeah,
funny. But
yeah, it's good to have humor like that.
right. But like me, I obviously wear my battle coat.
Hmm.
Waste Lord for his lore, he wears the ranger outfit. Sometimes he'll wear that vault suit, But he's a
Yeah, the
knight
armored one.
errant. He's a knight errant, so he has a lot more flexibility and freedom in what he's allowed to do, but he gets his duties done regardless. Um,
I actually learned that term recently. I did a character build video about, or I think I called it Knight Errant. I like looked up the term, and it's just basically like a knight with no master. It's kind of like a Ronin.
yeah.
So I always thought that was super cool. But you
Well,
were you about to say
the whole
something.
purpose of that is because they couldn't add Sentinel to the game because it would break lore. And they wanted to
I
figure out a
see.
way to bring that rank or that freedom that the Sentinel has because the Sentinel rank isn't a thing yet, you know.
Yeah.
Um
Okay, I see. I
yeah.
never really
So
put that together, to be honest. So it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
enlightening.
that's for sure what it is. But in my group, we have a House of Scribes, and we have what we call the Pathway of the Knight, which is
Hmm.
where obviously the initiates, the knights, the paladins, and them are. And they both have their own structure and ranking system within them, um, which takes a little bit from the Maxon system with the Fallout 4 Maxon, not the Fallout 1 Maxon. The Fallout 4 Maxon system for structure, right? We have um, a thing called Hopeful, which is obviously in this game. Those are our recruits. It's just easier to call them that so everyone is on the same page. And once you have a trial by fire, you will become an initiate. And from there, you'll have another trial by fire to where you can become a knight. Anything past knight is what we would call a leadership position. These are people that would have to have an attendance requirement. Um, that would be sergeant and then captain. And from there, they become officers,
Hmm.
which would be paladin. And that honestly is the only like officer, because after that we have senior officers, which there's only one of these, and that starts with Star Paladin, um, Sentinel, General, and then Elder. For those of you
Okay.
that don't know what General is basically the difference between Elder and High Elder, but it's Elder, if that makes sense. But we didn't want to have multiple Elders because that's just confusing. It's just easier to call you a General at that point.
Yeah. Then two elders. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
we
I
do have
never.
uniforms. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I honestly, I was more or less talking to myself. It's just like, yeah. From my experience playing the other Fallout games, like that seems like the hierarchy. So, but go ahead with what you're gonna say.
We within our House of Scribes, we have as a parallel, we have apprentice scribe, which would be the same as initiate. These are for the people that know before they get initiated that they want to be a scribe, so they just go straight in there. Sometimes
Hmm.
people will transfer from the pathway of the night into the House of Scribes as an initiate or a knight, and they have to go to apprentice scribe and take that demotion so that they can learn how to become a scribe. And within the scribes, the next actual rank is the equivalent of a knight, and that is three different orders within the sword, the shield, and the quill. The field scribe, the engineer scribe, and the science scribe, and each of them have their own duties. I won't get too involved in. My head scribe has all that information. I try to let them be um, automated to where I don't interfere with it. I just oversee it.
Fair enough.
And
Sorry. You go.
go
You
ahead.
finish. No, my bad. I thought you keep
Okay,
doing this.
okay.
I just
Yeah.
briefly, and this is for everybody in the audience too. Like I've
Mhm.
had experience with them, and like the Brotherhood, the group that I was in, the 91st, it was the same kind of thing where it's the scribes and the knights, and they kind of are doing their own like separate thing, but at the end of the day, that's unified. And in
Mhm.
my experience, that was such a bad idea because it like picks sides and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But
Yeah.
with you, I mean, I think it probably comes down to you as leader. I think that you unify it pretty well, even though they're almost two different sectors. That's really all I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed too with other groups. No disrespect to them, but I genuinely
No, you're
have
fine, bro.
not seen another group that is able to have the unification between the House of
Mm-hmm.
Scribes and their whatever order that their knights and paladins are in or separated in. I've seen some groups that have all three separated, scribes, paladins, and knights. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's way too much for this game because there's so
Yeah.
many. It's just you keep it simple, stupid. You want to keep it small enough to where it doesn't confuse everyone and they're all on the same page and everybody knows what's going on. Because
Mm-hmm.
eventually it'll get to the point it's like, okay, well, you're a scribe. I've never seen you before. Well, that should
Yeah.
never be said. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
So,
true. It should be, hey, what's up, brother?
right, exactly.
Or
And
sister, or sister.
exactly. And for my group, we have it to where they do their duties together. Everybody, because we do player help, that's our number one goal, is
Mm-hmm.
everyone we bring into the fold should be self-sustaining by the time they're a knight or they have specialized within the House of Scribes. Meaning they don't need to keep asking us for gear unless honestly they're just lazy. Sometimes I slip up, I'm like, anybody got ammo? Because I just don't want to make it. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair. Yeah, no, I
But
get you.
that's our goal. And if everyone can become self-sustaining, then it's just instinct that when a
Mm-hmm.
scribe requests a power armor escort, it's like I'm on my way. I got you. You know.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
perfect, man. It all,
um
it's a well-oiled machine.
yeah, exactly. From
Well, sorry. I didn't hear you
my
talking there,
bad.
but finish.
My bad.
No,
Yeah,
you're good. No,
from
it's this happens. It's because of the delays and stuff like that. I'm sorry, bro. And sorry for the audience too. But continue, Derpy. I am interested in what you have to say.
from the different orders within the House of Scribes. Above that, we have Proctor, which a lot of people confuse that rank. Proctor in the Maxon system is an officer rank. It is the equivalent of a paladin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that when they militarized the scribes, that is what Maxon did, right? Um, but in my brotherhood, they're the equivalent of a captain because that power can definitely go to their heads because they have a different job. They aren't leadership. they are the people that catalog, preserve, and just keep the background integrity of the group, right?
Hmm.
Like they help. We have spreadsheets that we keep track of our guild's inventory in, and they are the ones that do that. They keep track of all of that.
Holy
I only have
crap.
one proctor right now, um, but the proctor is also the assistant to the head scribe. We do plan on, when we get more scribes, to have a proctor in each of the houses so that they can not have all that workload on them. Because even though I have majority knights and initiates over scribes, they have a lot of work that they have to do because they have to, excuse me, they have to go out and farm all the resources, and they have to keep track of the guild's inventory, and that is a lot to do because we don't have a
Yeah,
guild
wouldn't
system
doubt it.
within the game. Above the
Jeez.
proctor, we
We
have the
really
head
should.
scribe. The head scribe is um, the equivalent of a sentinel in my group, and she does wonders. I've had a lot of different people that are in the position of quote proctor, head scribe, because we transition those names within our leadership change. I like
Hmm.
head scribe better, but she has done wonders for this group because she's the first one to bring order and structure to it that I just could not do, and it's amazing what. But
And the what there?
that's
Did
within
you?
them.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
no, no, my bad. I think that my internet just cut out a little bit, but you're good. Continue.
Okay. Um, within both of the how orders, we have uniforms that we wear. Um, like I said, it's anything that represents the Brotherhood and looks militant, doesn't look too stupid. Because we do follow a schedule on certain days. Um, there are some days that we don't wear uniforms. It's wherever you want. We we say don't wear anything Enclave because Enclave shoot on sight. So sometimes people would just mess around and they'll put on like a Enclave general outfit, and then 90% of us are shooting that guy, you know. Um,
Hey, I'm the same way.
right. Um, but yeah,
Not actually, but lore
we're
wise,
pretty open when it comes to our uniforms, because we just want to be able to recognize this is a brotherhood.
yeah. Hmm. And I mean,
I've got a
even looking
bunch
at
of them
waist, you can recognize
listed.
that.
Well, right, yeah, because I mean, what is he, an NCR time traveler? That faction isn't even established yet. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, hey.
Well, hey, the Desert Rangers are established. The Desert Rangers are
Right, right.
established. All right,
Hmm.
actually, Derpy, I did want to include Waste a little bit. I did have a question for him, and this is regarding the
Hmm.
ranks and uniforms and stuff. But Waste, what is your position in the group? He did mention it before, but I'd like to hear your opinion. Like maybe give some of your responsibilities, stuff that you would do if you feel so inclined.
So, I've been with Derpy for a while. We've traveled, brotherhoods like he was talking about, and he's kind of just kept my rank throughout those, just out of respect. And I was eventually, at one point I wasn't a captain. I was a part of the war, I can't remember their name. Oh, the Horsemen, which was a
Hmm.
PvP
Horseman.
group.
Ooh,
Yeah, and I was war. It was pretty cool. But over
Warhorse.
time, yeah, over time, I came up with YouTube and started broadcasting tales all across the wasteland, blah blah blah. And I needed to have more time to do stuff for just me, and I wasn't able to participate as much. So
Mm.
we moved myself. We it was a mutual decision to put me into the position of a knight errant, which means I have I can come in and go whenever I want, and I help them and they help me. Yeah. I try to do they help me more than I help them, but I do my best to help them. But
Try to
but
pay it
yeah.
back. Well, I mean, my experience, you definitely do that. So
Hmm. For
no
sure.
And then
underestimation there. Well, you talk about participation. I guess this might lead me to my next question. What kind of activities do you guys do with each other? Do you guys do like patrol stuff like that? Any kind of like pre-planned events?
I think we have a lot of pre-planned events, but because we have a schedule, we just everybody knows what they're supposed to do every day of the week, unless it's like, okay, like an officer stands up and goes, okay, we're gonna do this instead, right?
Hmm.
So the schedule's more there in case there isn't a new order given. It's like business casual, business as usual, just do it, right?
Word.
But We don't necessarily have patrols. I think that's the dumbest thing ever, to be honest.
Hey, that's
What
okay.
you know what I mean? Like we're just gonna walk on the road and display our power. There are much better ways to do it. um,
Flexing out here.
yeah. Um, and it's really funny because I'm in a lot of Facebook groups too, and I see people screenshot the map all the time. It's like, oh look, another patrol. You know what I mean? So that's the
I
last thing
guess
I want is
I
to
guess I
have
mean
someone
if
on blast on Facebook, you know?
That's fair. That is fair. You definitely don't want that. But I mean, I guess the only redeeming thing for patrols, I would say, is just it's another thing you can do. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
especially when it's, I mean, because I'm thinking back 2 years ago when I was in that group and it was, there was no pit, there was no Nuka World on tour. It was kind of
Yeah.
like, you were stuck floating in water, and that was really a good
Hmm.
savior. But I do understand that. And it seems like you guys have plenty of other things that are, I mean, more, I guess, effective and like useful, and B, it just
Hmm.
seems like you have more interesting stuff going on as well with everybody. So that's good. That's good to hear, though. Was there anything else you wanted to say? I feel like I keep
I was,
cutting you off.
yeah, I was gonna say that the way I see it when it comes to patrols is my group by itself is already extremely powerful.
Yeah,
Um, there is very few instances we've lost fights. Don't get me wrong, we can take the L. We've never lost a war. We
nice to
had a
be an honest
war.
man.
We had a war go on with an enclave for 2.5 years, and the leader
That's crazy.
surrendered by giving me a DE flamer. That was how he surrendered. He's like, I'm
Oh,
done. I'm tired of getting my teeth pummeled, dude. Like,
it's like
and
Lee and Grant and Appomattox.
yeah, and it was, I didn't expect him to give it to me. I was like, dude, that wasn't my intention for you to give me that. He's like, no, really, like, peace offering. Like, we're
Well, what
cool. I
is
was
it
like,
like?
you
I don't know
know,
if you ever seen Band of Brothers at all? They
that,
liberate the prison camp and
yeah,
the German officer gives his pistol over. I think it
yeah,
mostly a sign of respect. That's funny though.
exactly.
There's like a
Um,
that's like a real world thing, and he's doing it in here. That's super funny though.
we because my group is so strong though, patrols consist more of people walking around by themselves and just doing like their daily quests, right?
Hmm.
Because you got to go all over the map to do your dailies because they won't even trigger unless you're in the region. So as they go to each of the regions, they can see what's going on with the civilians because they got to run around everywhere and do their own thing. So that is more the
Hmm.
patrol is to check on the people as you're doing your daily duties and your daily quests. Make your rounds, see if anybody needs help someone if they're getting jumped by raiders or whatever it may be. You know,
Hmm.
that is more the patrols for us. It isn't everybody get in a group and walk down Savage Divides Interstate. that's
Yeah,
that's kind of stupid.
definitely a more effective thing to do. I totally get that. I will say this, so I think we've probably been going for a little bit here. I do have just two final questions to ask you, and they're probably of utmost importance. Number one
Hmm.
is going to be how would people be able to join the group if you guys are recruiting? And the second would be and this is a question for both of you guys. What is your favorite part about the group? What is your favorite part about, I guess, these kinds of groups as a whole? If you have any kind of answer like that, I would definitely love to hear it. So actually, Waste, if you want to go first, if that's okay, I'd love to hear what you got to
Definitely.
say.
Um, so I got a couple of things that I like about this group.
Hmm.
One, everyone's super respectful. Everyone's very, very kind. Like there's, respect and then there's kindness. And if you have both of those, you got an amazing group. That's what we have here. Um, and then
Good way to put it, Waste.
we all work together and help. And I say we. I don't like saying we because I feel as if I'm just here for the ride. Like I said, I'm trying to earn my place is what I'm trying to do. But I'm gonna say we. But we do we do lots of great things. We have Wastelanders and we help Wastelanders, and I think that's really awesome. And I also love the dress code. I've been with another Brotherhood of Steel group, I should say, and it was if they're watching this, I'm sorry, but it kind of sucked because it was so damn strict I couldn't breathe without being told not to. But I couldn't, I love the uniforms in here. You can have uniform, just keep it Brotherhood. I completely respect that. Everyone's super
Yeah.
generous and kind, and Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And we're also really powerful too. Like that's no joke. Like if I'm in, you know this, Navigator. I probably said it on live stream before. But if I'm getting my ass kicked, I'm like, Derpy, Brotherhood Genesis Hamdrew. I need a paladin. I need a knight. You know, I'm freaking. I'll think I can take him.
That
I get
is
my
true.
ego gets big. My ego gets big.
There
Oh, I
is
could take
somebody
him.
for every situation in this group.
Yeah.
As I've
As
been
soon
around
as there's a
ways.
PvP battle, I immediately go crying to them. So it's very good to have them on my side.
That's
But
funny.
yeah,
That's like
that's
the NCR emergency beacon from New Vegas. Throw
yeah.
that down, they all come running.
That's my
Right.
Oh
yep.
my
That's my
gosh.
That's why I got this little signalman, not the signalman. That's Enclave. The field tac, whatever this backpack's called. I use it to call the Brotherhood, and it works
Fair
out well.
enough. Seems like, although you gotta clean it up a little bit, man. It's a little rusted and busted.
I know
All
it's
right.
been through Arizona to Appalachia. And by the way, this isn't
Dang,
an NCR
back.
outfit. You know, picked it up in a riot a riot place. You know,
A riot
dead
store?
man.
Right.
I was gonna say a
Right,
riot store.
store.
I was
Riot
gonna
store.
say a riot. I found it off a dead guy who was wearing it. Okay, that's my excuse. Not,
Fair enough.
he was in a riot store, by the way. But yeah, that's my piece.
All right, well, that was perfect. He put that well. Derpy, would you have any answer to, I guess, both of those questions, specifically about joining, you know?
So, joining is really easy. I don't want to be the guy to say we're not exclusive, but Wastelord can tell you that we can be pretty exclusive, but anyone is able to take the step forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um, a
I think
group
they
like
do as
this,
well.
a group like this isn't just ran by anybody coming
Mhm.
in and going. You have to have active people, and we don't have an attendance requirement, but the fact you want to be here is what makes the group run, right?
Mhm. The
So
initiative, yeah.
exactly, and it's literally as much as you coming up to me, messaging me, or anybody else in the group is like, "Hey, I'm interested in joining." And then what happens is in our Discord, we have a channel called Hopefuls and Processing to where I list your gamer tag. Everyone that is in the Brotherhood can see that because I do have some Wastelanders in there, just people that want to play with the group but don't want the responsibility of the Brotherhood, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Civilians.
Like me.
So, exactly, yeah. So the Brotherhood can see this channel and they will add that person as a friend and message them and be like, "Hey, do you need anything? Add me as a friend, add me back. Don't be afraid to hop in our parties." And when you get into our parties, your first job as a hopeful recruit is to add everybody in the party so you have people to play with. Because the
Yeah,
people, as long as you add the people, you will always have somebody to play with, right?
or help you out or something like that, yeah.
Exactly. So, and then over the next couple of days, you'll just hang out with us and just see how we operate, see our protocol, and that is for us to see if you're the right fit and vice versa, because the last thing we want to do is waste your time, right?
Yeah, or waste your own too.
Or yeah. um, so and after a few days, me or one of my paladins will get a hold of you and we'll be like, "You ready to join?" And we'll go from there.
Roger that. Sounds good, my man.
Um,
did you specific? I don't know if you really got. Yeah, what's your favorite part about this group?
you know, there's a lot of things I like, but
Yeah, I know it'd be a tough question for you. Yeah.
yeah, I over the last 4.5 years, I've had a lot of times to where I've had my finger on the eject button in that Discord, and I'm just like, "That's it, I'm done." But I realize I can't. There's just too many people, and
Hmm.
for me, we all have our reasons for playing video games. The majority of us play it as an escape, right?
Hmm.
And I'm a totally different person IRL. And I used to be that guy that was the yes man, that was the people pleaser. And after a traumatic event, I became that asshole. You know what I mean? It's not my problem. I
Yeah,
became
I
that
understand.
guy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So for me, playing this game is literally a remnant of the old me, the person that wants to go out of their way to help everyone, that wants to find that middle ground, that wants to unify everyone, and this is the only way I can do it.
You know, that's really nice you saying that, my man. And I'm being genuine about that. Because, truth be told, I think that there's a lot of people, not really on this game specifically, but there's a lot of people that, maybe don't exactly have a ton of friends in real
Yeah.
life, or maybe they're going through something, and this is something they're doing just kind of to enjoy themselves. And I think it's very good to meet, reliable, trustworthy, and, like, and kind people that are going
Hmm.
to do stuff for you. And the good thing about this is, even though this game has PvP and all that, like, I rarely get involved in that or really see it. And I feel like this community, specifically the Fallout 76 community, pretty nice people for the most part. For the most part, there's definitely been some,
Excluding the
some
PvP
odd numbers.
community.
Yeah, exactly.
They're pretty
I guess
toxic.
that's true, but I feel like there's a lot of really good people in this game that will go out of their way to help other people. So that was really well. I think you put that very, very well. So, or Derpy, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think this is probably a perfect time to wrap it up.
Hmm.
Thank you guys in the audience for spending the time and watching this. These guys are really awesome. Two good friends of mine, and yeah, I'm sure you'll probably be seeing more of them in the future. Hopefully, I can do a little bit more of an in-depth maybe video with them or something like that. But honestly, that might be Waste Space. He might be showing stuff like that on his channel. So keep an eye out for that. Derpy, Waste, is there anything else you guys wanted to say before we ended the video?
Um,
You want to go first?
yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say that like Waste and I, one of his actual duties is to um, promote and do things with the group on his YouTube.
Mhm.
So he definitely will be in the future. It's just when we actually get to doing it, um, he'll be putting some content up there that has Genesis within
Yeah, he will. Right,
it.
Waste? Right, Waste?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so I have I have a Waste Lord Q&A, and I'm not trying to promote that right now, but I've answered Derpy's questions, and and that's one way. And then we got Tale of Brotherhood of Steel Genesis, and as soon as my internet's good, I'm assuming next month, like the beginning of next month, we got to do it. It's going to be a day in the life of a Brotherhood. So or of a Brotherhood night. So I'm going to be showing you what my rank details, so that you guys that are listening know what it's like to be a part of this Brotherhood of Steel. And let me tell you guys, it's awesome, and I'm very hyped to do it. But
That sounds
that's about
awesome,
it.
Waste. Heck yeah. I'm sure you guys have seen, if you're familiar with my interview series, I do, kind of like a behind the scenes, like day in the life thing. I think that for this group, you guys should totally go check out the video that Waste will be putting together. If you guys know anything about his channel, he has awesome videos, really totally unique kind of content regarding Fallout. So if you guys aren't, familiar with him or subscribed to him, be sure to go check him out. I'll have a link to his channel in sorry, in the description of the comments. Been talking for a while here, but Derpy, thank you guys. Or sorry, Derpy and Waste, thank you guys for joining me. This is long overdue, and I'm very thankful to have sat down with you guys and done this. This is super awesome. It's really great talking to people like this that are, kind of focused on this element of the game, and it's something that for me, I miss a lot. I used to be part of that group, like I said, probably a million times, but I miss it so much, and it's fun, kind of talking shop like this. So again, thank you guys for joining me, and thank you guys in the audience for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. My name is Navigator. Have a nice day. Take care.